and welcome to SmartTips, the podcast for staffing and human resources professionals. If you're looking for the latest news, expert insights, and valuable resources to stay at the forefront of the ever-evolving world of talent acquisition, you've come to the right place. I'm your host, Nicholas Vondra, Head of Communications and Marketing for SmartSearch, and I'm thrilled to introduce my guest for this episode, Stephanie Amos with Acara Solutions. To give a brief overview of Acara Solutions is an Aleron company. They are a premier recruiting and workforce solutions provider, helping companies compete for talent with a variety of services, including contract staffing, direct placement, executive search, and workforce services worldwide. They are a consistent recipient of different industry awards and accolades, and are also one of our customers here at SmartSearch. Stephanie is a Senior Recruitment Specialist who has been with Acara Solutions for the past 7 years. And Stephanie, I am so grateful that you've taken the time today to speak with me. As we both know, you are constantly recognized as a top performer within Acara, and you've gained this notoriety from your ability to balance creating trusting partnerships with your clients and building lasting relationships with your candidates. So welcome, Stephanie.
Thanks, Nicholas. I'm happy to be here.
Well, for this episode of SmartTips, we're actually doing something a little bit special. We're kind of going back to the future, if you will, and discussing some real scenarios and practical advice that recruiters would give to those who are newer to the industry so that they can implement some really great practices for success as they build their own careers. Stephanie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome. Sounds great. Well, I'd like to add some immediate value for our listeners who maybe are a bit in a time crunch while listening. So, Stephanie, can you tell me, are there any screening questions that you use when qualifying candidates that can really help determine whether they should move forward in the selection process?
Absolutely. So my goal, Nicholas, is always to get the job seeker talking. A lot of times what I do is I tend to start my conversations with candidates with exploratory conversations so I can make sure any positions that I do present to them are going to appeal to them and motivate them. I never like to jump in and tell them about a job I'm working on without learning what they're seeking in terms of salary expectations, work schedule, whether that be remote, on-site, or hybrid, and of course, what they're looking for in terms of job duties and responsibilities. One of my go-to questions tends to be, what's motivating you to seek new employment? What are you missing in your current position that you would like to see in a new opportunity? And essentially, like, what types of positions are you drawn to when you're searching job boards? What job titles are standing out to you? And just in getting that job seeker talking, you're going to learn a lot about what it is they're looking for in their next opportunity, which will help you align them with the perfect match.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely will have to, take some of those insights and put it into my own next new hire. But obviously, to get to these individuals and get them to that screening process, we first kind of have to find them and source them. Would you mind telling our listeners some of the channels that you use when sourcing your candidates?
Absolutely. So we are heavy SmartSearch users here at Acara Solutions. That is our main database and tool for sourcing qualified candidates for our open positions. And when it comes to kind of strategizing to jump into sourcing, I truly believe that having a deep understanding for the position is going to set you on the right path. Here at Acara Solutions, we call those initial touch bases with clients intake calls. When we get on a Teams video or a Zoom video, and we actually meet with the hiring manager to understand their expectations for the role and ideally what they're looking for, in their next candidate. This is your opportunity to ask those tough questions. Why is the position open? What have your challenges been in, seeking new candidates or, throughout interviews? Why have candidates been rejected or why were they not qualified? And also an opportunity to go beyond that job description, understanding some personality traits and qualities that they might be looking for. Upon that intake call, you're able to take all of that information and start your search for sourcing the qualified candidates.
Awesome. So this being the people-focused industry of human capital, my next question is going to be more about candidate engagement. So once you source those A players, and obviously we don't want to let them go cold and start looking for other jobs while we're working to actively to place them. Can you tell me what type of communication that you're using and actually how often you're communicating with this top echelon of candidates?
Yeah, so in my opinion, keeping detailed folders and pipelines are insanely beneficial and can lead to that decreased time to fill a position. I love SmartSearch because it has the folder and comment feature that I use to create pipelines. So when we get a new position in, whether it be accounting or HR, I'm able to go back to those folders and, contact those individuals that I've already created a relationship with. I always encourage my candidates to remain in contact with me. Tell me what they're seeing on the job market. This can lead to sales leads, but it can also lead to me potentially skill marketing their resume over to a client that's hiring. Instead of jumping in and applying directly where there could be 200 plus other applicants, we might have an established relationship with the HR team and can, get them over there sooner. I always work with my A player candidates in combination with my account executives. Essentially, they are in sales. They're the ones out in the field attracting new business for us to work on. So if we have a great candidate in the pipeline, I'm always putting together a write up and working with them directly to make sure those candidates are getting in front of the right customers.
Oh my goodness, that is some great information, Stephanie. You know, but from going from engagement, I want to explore a little bit about reporting. As we know, staffing is a bit of a numbers game, and many different staffing companies establish different key metrics and KPIs. What do you suggest these newer recruiters keep watch over when it comes to establishing their own personal success metrics?
Yeah, Nicholas, as a new recruiter now over 7 years ago, what was really, really important to me, and I think this is so important to stress because a lot of companies look at recruiting as kind of like a hit the ground and go type position. But what was really important to me was the emphasis on attempts to contact and pre-screen, getting comfortable picking up the phone, making the calls, leaving the voicemail, and simply having conversations with potential candidates. That really strengthened my foundation as a recruiter. So I think early on, coming in as a new recruiter, watching those attempts to contacts and pre-screens are really important. Once you get a little wind beneath your wings and you start to fly, the KPIs you really want to focus on are the submittals, interviews, and hires. That's essentially what's going to be, if you're getting a high volume of submittals, a high volume of interviews, we're really hopeful to see that number of hires increase as well. If we're getting a high volume of submittals and we're not seeing the interviews and hires come through, that's time to reevaluate and kind of see what we're missing. From there. But as a new recruiter, definitely ATCs and pre-screens. I think as a more seasoned recruiter, a little bit more emphasis on the submittals, interviews, and hires.
Awesome. That's so fantastic. And to this point, while we're still talking about reporting and success metrics and, trying to figure out how to get more submittals and more interviews, I know it can be really challenging when a large part of hitting those numbers is dependent on someone else, your hiring managers. Do you happen to have any suggestions for how to handle hiring managers who may be unresponsive or extremely selective when hiring for a position?
Yeah, absolutely. As a recruiter, it's important to remember we are in the business of people. And as a new recruiter, it's important to keep in mind, be you can only be responsible for what you can control. And when it comes to kind of handling unresponsiveness, here at Acara Solutions, we really like to set the expectation up front. So during that initial intake call, it's very important to ask about any upcoming vacations or time out of the office that might slow down that hiring process. We also ask if there would be any issues in providing submittal feedback within that 24 to 48-hour window. If proper expectations are set up front, the hiring manager really shouldn't be alarmed when we're requesting for feedback or asking for an update on a role, or if you simply pick up the phone and give them a call. It is important to show patience and grace. We have to remember, as recruiters, we are asked to come in at crucial times in the hiring process. And a lot of hiring managers and HR representatives simply don't have the means or time to recruit on their own. This is our full-time job, but not their full-time job. So, it's important to flex a little bit on those expectations, once they're set, depending on kind of what's going on. I would say, in terms of selectiveness, it's important to remain consistent in communication with the hiring managers and let them know where you are at in the process. Be very transparent about struggles and challenges that you're coming across, and do not be afraid to show them who is on the market, even if a job seeker does not perfectly align with their expectation, because you're essentially showing them, hey, this is who we have on the market. And so, let's be honest, as recruiters, we're sometimes expected to find the purple squirrels of the world, and at some point during a hard to fill rec, you might be required to regroup with the client to determine where they might be able to offer some flexibility in the requirements. This conversation will definitely go a lot smoother if you've been in communication throughout the process, letting them know, what your struggles and challenges have been.
Fantastic. So as a seasoned recruiter, you've worked with a lot of different software and a lot of different technology that can sometimes be a huge help, or other times it can be a big hindrance for what we're looking for when achieving our own success in recruitment. For someone who is coming into the industry and weighing their options between different recruiting firms, are there any tools that you would advise them to keep a lookout for when it comes to, the recruiting tech stack that that company is using?
Yeah, so actually, through my whole career as a recruiter, I have only been exposed to SmartSearch. So that's the tool that I am most familiar with using. It's going on 8 years now, in February. So I really do utilize that heavily, and I'm not very exposed to other recruitment platforms that are out there. I know internally we also use a combination of Indeed and LinkedIn Recruiter. um, you know, the internet has totally made recruiting and job seeking, it's at your fingertips now. Things happen so much more quickly now than they have in the past. I was talking with one of our executives just the other week, and he was telling us when he first started about, getting resumes faxed to him, and the process would take 3 to 4 weeks. And, now we can, essentially put somebody in the seat tomorrow if we really wanted to. It is important to stay up to date on new technologies, because the recruitment industry is always evolving and changing, and we do see that, within the platforms that we utilize as well. But even, utilizing Indeed and LinkedIn Recruiter in combination with SmartSearch, I find very helpful, because contact information is not readily available on Indeed and LinkedIn Recruiter. So if I essentially find a name of a candidate that I want to reach out to, SmartSearch, our database, holds so many resumes that there's a chance that I might come across an older resume, or that they might be in our system, already, which will get that ATC out there a little bit quicker.
Fantastic. So that is my questions for today. Stephanie, I really cannot thank you enough for coming on and just giving a wealth of knowledge to our listeners for Smart Tips. And for those of you out there who would like, we are continually posting new information through Smart Tips, as well as on our website, smartsearching.com. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out or hit the like and subscribe button for more information. Stephanie, once again, thank you so much.
Thanks, Nicholas.
And we'll be seeing you in the next episode.
All right.